Okay, I'm back. This is part 2 of my video because took a little puffs, had some more points come to my mind, okay? If you didn't see part 1, go see part 1 of this video, okay? First. So, the hypocrisy, okay, of hip-hop. Again, first of all these, I love hip-hop, okay? I love hip-hop, all right? Minus the 70s, minus the very beginning. Not a big fan. But I love hip-hop. I love hip-hop from New York. I love hip-hop from the South. Not just New York. Let's say the East Coast, because that could be also Philly. You know, Florida, that's the East Coast, but it's also the South. So, you know, Atlanta, Memphis, New Orleans, Texas. You know what I'm saying? The West Coast, there's good rappers and good hip-hop. From the Midwest, okay? As much as I hate Kanye, he's a great artist, you know. Fucking Common and the Brats from Chicago, and you know, R. Kelly's not a hip hop artist, and ow, I just burned myself. Maybe I'm not supposed to say what I was about to say. But I love hip hop from all over. I love good music, and as I was saying before, that as a black woman listening to hip hop, especially like in the 90s and stuff. I remember there was like, in the 90s you had a lot of positive shit, but you also had a lot of like super, like the things that a lot of rappers would say. I think it's not as bad now actually, as it was back then. But there was so many things that we had to block out. Now, so many male rappers have made songs about, like I was just dancing to Back That Ass Up by Juvenile, right? That's a motherfucking classic, okay? All the dope shit from Luke back in the day. I actually would love to create a workout classes based on those old school hip hop dances, because trying to dance to Luke, that shit is motherfucking exhausting, okay? All that booty shaking music, okay? There was Rex and Effect. I mean, there was so many songs, okay, about booty shaking, okay? But when now you have female artists who, I love this era of hip hop, where you have female artists who don't have to be with a crew of dudes, because in the 90s and like the early 2000s, female rappers, they were always in, female rappers were always in a crew of dudes. Like you had Rod Digger, who's one of the motherfucking illest, if you ask me, and she was with Flip Mode. You had Eve, who was with Rough Riders. You had, you know, Foxy, that might have been with Jay-Z and them, then she's with The Firm. Then you had Kim, that was with Biggie. I mean, there was no like, I mean, you had Queen Latifah, she was, you know, that she predated them, she wasn't in a crew of dudes. But in like that mid to late 90s, early 2000s, every female rapper had to be in a crew of dudes. And a lot of them, Lauryn Hill with the Fugees, you know what I'm saying? Even though she outshined them eventually, but it was like the Kims and the Foxys and the people who might have been sexual. Like Trina was on that sexual shit, you know what I'm saying? But the narrative back then was like, oh, their industry's forcing these women to be like that. Like people didn't think that there's women in the world that like to be half naked, that like to talk about sex, or like to have sex, that like to shake their ass, you know what I'm saying? It was always, oh, she's being forced. Maybe some chicks is being forced, but some chicks like that shit, right? That's just how they are, you know what I'm saying? It's natural. Women are sexual beings too, okay? So when you see, so the narrative is always that somebody was trying to make them be that way. Now you have girls, like a lot of female rappers now, they are highly sexual. You know, what is it? What am I trying to say? News brief, okay, to the dudes who don't realize that as a general statement, women are more sexual than men, okay? That's a general statement, because there are some men whose sexual energy and drive and desire outshines. There are extremes on both ends. There are like insatiable men, and then there are insatiable women. Okay, that shit there's on both sides. But there's exceptions, right? But as a general statement, women are more sexual than men. Okay, Y'all just don't know it because women don't talk about that. Women don't, yeah, newsflash, yeah. Women don't tell the truth a lot of times about what we want sexually and what our desires are and stuff like that, because society will shame us so much. A lot of people don't, they don't, and then a lot of people need to know your business. But I'm just saying, a lot of women say things to protect the male ego. The men that can handle the truth, okay, and the men that make women feel comfortable, okay, they're the ones that really know women, and they really know the full truth, okay, I'm sorry, and I saw a text message, and how women can actually be, right? Women, we express our sexuality more when we're comfortable. Okay, so that's why it's in a man's best interest to want to make women feel comfortable. But because so many men make women feel uncomfortable, and because society, this is a man's world, and the way women are looked at, there's double standards with a lot of things. But a lot of women they don't want, they keep it just that they don't tell the truth. And then a lot of people were raised with religion, they might have been sexually abused. They sometimes also have like daddy issues too, and that just further complicates shit. You know what I'm saying? With them just being able to be an authentic self. And I'm not just saying this, I've learned a lot about women from, being a woman and working with women, but also from men. I have a lot of male friends, and, they tell me a lot of things, and there's so much. I actually have a series of videos that I want to do about, because we learn from experiences. But I have a couple male friends, one in particular, who's like one of my best friends, I feel like so many lessons that dudes could learn from him in his life, because of the fact that he makes women comfortable, and he is a good friend, even if he's not like having sex with a chick. It's not just about that, but he's always surrounded by beautiful women, and he's a very interesting person. But when women feel comfortable around a dude, you know what I'm saying, they will be more open and honest about certain things. So just understand that most men who go around talking a bunch of rhetoric and bullshit, you know what I'm saying, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and women aren't telling you the truth, okay? They're definitely not going to be telling that shit to you, all right? But anyhow, I find it funny that, dudes can make songs about that all day, and they might have put it in their music videos. And then now when you have women doing it, women who are themselves saying, I'm going to put on a bikini, I'm going to be the video girl, I'm the rapper and the video girl, right? And I'm going to twerk, and I'm going to talk about sex, and da-da-da-da-da, it's a problem. But it's like, or we're dancing to the music, okay? Now you got girls shaking their ass, we twerking, and y'all like I've seen so many memes about Megan Thee Stallion, like when she did, I don't know if it was like a Marvel movie recently or something, and it was like the Incredible Hulk or this female Hulk, I don't know, and she was like twerking with her. I saw so many black people, not just men, a lot of women too, because a lot of black women also fucking lost, but just all like, oh, she's twerking, that's so stereotypical, blah, 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 blah. Like, black people, we dance, right? Don't black male football players dance? Oh, She-Hulk. Don't the black male football players dance in the end zone when they, are happy that they made a touchdown or something? And wasn't the NFL, I don't follow sports like that, but I remember the NFL or whoever was upset about it, them dancing. But black people, we dance, okay? And black women, a lot of you know I'm a trainer too, okay? I'm a dancer, but I'm not just like a dancer for aesthetics, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of stuff I study, particularly with black dance, and I've done several videos on this, okay? But there's a lot of medicine in the hips. Most of our blood supply runs through the hips. People talk about Kundalini yoga. People talk about, India, and Kundalini yoga, but you're not moving your hips. Kundalini is a serpent snake at the base of your spine. It's pure sexual energy. So how better to stimulate that energy by moving your hips, undulating your hips, embodying a snake, undulating your hips, okay? This is the reason why moving the hips is important in the dances of the diaspora, okay? There's even a difference between black dancers in the diaspora, particularly in the Americas. There's a difference between those dances and a lot of West African dances, minus the Congo, okay? When you're talking about like religious dances, there are dances in the Americas that might be similar to with the Yoruba, or similar, But when with the social dances, it was like social dances being like Jamaican dance hall, samba from Brazil, champeta from Colombia, salsa music from New York and all of Latin America and Cuba and Puerto Rico and yada yada yada, merengue from DR, soca, okay, from Trinidad, Afro-Puerto Rican bomba. All of that comes from the Congo, right? And the Congo is very much hip-centered. But if you see how Senegalese people dance or Ghanaian people dance, it's not like that. They don't have as much hip movements, okay? So these dances have medicine and they're important, right? For so many things, for childbirth. I mean, a lot of different things, right? And so the fact that the hypocrisy of the shaming and the being ashamed of stuff because you don't read and you don't look at primary documents and you don't look at what the colonizers said when they came here and you don't realize that white Jesus, that patriarchal religion of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism has your mind fucked up, okay? So they're going back to the hypocrisy, right? Is that I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, in hip hop, you have all these, Death Row. And this dude, Young Thug, he's in jail right now. And he's been accused of having 50 bodies on him. People are saying free him. And he's trying to act so innocent, but your name is Young Thug. So how stupid do you rappers look when your name is Little Murder and you got murder charges? And you're like, I didn't do it, but your name, or you're on a label called Death Row or Murder Inc. You know what I'm saying? So y'all put all that out there, right? And then y'all want to nigga this, nigga that, nigga, which I never even use that word. I hate that word. You never hear me say that shit, right? You yelling the N word all goddamn day. Like, people supposed to be lyricists, but they can't find another fucking word to use. I've never seen a so-called slang word survive so fucking long, okay? For decades, okay? The issue isn't sexualized female rappers, it's just that there's no other female rappers. Dude, that's stupid. That's not true at all, okay? There's plenty of female rappers that's not like that. Get more critical thinking skills. So, it's like you have names like that, and then you have murder charges, and people believe that you're innocent, and just using the N-word all the time, right? Like, the type of things that happen in the hood, okay, the hoods of America, I feel like the murder rate in every city that has a high murder rate is because of black people. It's because of black people running around shooting up the hood. That's the case in St. Louis. That's the case in Detroit. That's the case in Milwaukee. That's the case in Baltimore. That's the case in Oakland, New Orleans, okay, motherfucking Birmingham. Like, every place, and all those places are above Chicago, okay? Philly, okay? It's black dudes running around shooting shit up. And then you're nigga this, nigga that, okay? And then you want to have, these record labels and rap names and murder, okay? But then, when your favorite rapper gets shot, or your son gets shot, your brother gets shot, then you want to cry, and oh, it's fucked up, and oh, this needs to stop, and blah, 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 blah. It's hypocritical like fuck. Like fuck. But then, again, you have someone like Megan Thee Stallion who, tall, beautiful woman, okay, who people were trying to say she was a man. I've had people say that to me before too, but I'm definitely all woman. Then she was a college student and she was doing what she was doing and going to school and promoting other girls to go to school. Her mother died. But you know what she didn't do? Her mother held her down. Like, her mother was there by her side. Her mother held her down. But when her mom died, she didn't start acting like Kanye. Everybody keeps saying, oh, Kanye's like, he ain't been right since his mother died. People don't stop with that bullshit. A lot of people's mothers died. A lot of people went through way worse shit than that, and they don't act like him. That's not a motherfucking excuse. Kanye's just an idiot. And his mother was probably appeasing him, and, like a lot of mothers baby their sons, okay? That's the reason why a father, again, I keep talking about the father, okay? A lot of people who are off, they're missing their father. And I used to think that was just a woman thing. Because I knew, thank goodness I don't have daddy issues, and I'm sorry for people who do, but I used to notice a lot of women who just got wrapped up in like dumb shit because they had daddy issues. But then I started to realize that a lot of men have it too. And every man I've actually been in a relationship with has daddy issues, have bad ones. And I've seen how bad it can affect a man, okay? I feel like Kanye had daddy issues because his dad wasn't really in his life like that. And a lot of times, mothers, especially black moms, overcompensate with their black sons because it's hard being a black boy. So you don't have that male toughness. You know, men need male toughness. Girls need male toughness. Male toughness. I wouldn't be the same person without my dad and my mom. You know what I'm saying? They brought different things to the table. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain things that my mom had a huge influence on, and certain things that my dad had a huge influence on. You know what I'm saying? But the toughness and the protection, that's coming from your father. You know what I'm saying? And when some, you know, moms overcompensate for that. So you know, Megan, like I said, lost her mom. Her dad was no longer living. She lost her grandmother. She, you know, I don't think she had any siblings, but she went through college. She didn't have like a nervous breakdown and like, you know, and start being super offensive and idiotic, running her acting like a fool. Now, if Kanye was a black woman, there's no way in the world people would be giving him all these passes. There's no way in the world. If Kanye was a black woman out here doing and saying the things that Kanye has been doing and saying for years, okay? Like, I'm not against interracial couples, but when black women get with a white man, oh, the black community and black men, they're like so upset. But black men get white women all the time, and they still get loved. You know, Kanye said in his song he was gonna leave the black chick for a white girl once he got on, and he's always been with white girls. He's always been with them. You know what I'm saying? Not that I don't know any black women that would want to be with Kanye, okay? But I'm just saying, and I don't really care. Okay, I'm not offended by it. I'm just saying, if it was a black woman who said that in the song, and all she did it was white dudes, and then she's running around, you could tell, trying to be a white girl, you know what I'm saying, really kissing the white girl's ass and doing the type of shit and saying all the offensive shit like Candace Owens, you know what I'm saying, like black people don't support Candace Owens, black men don't support Candace Owens, black women don't support Candace Owens, but they support Kanye. Kanye is like the female version of him, okay? And they keep finding excuses. Oh, he really means this. Oh, he's just being deep. Oh, he's just, man, fuck him. You know what I'm saying? All Megan Thee Stallion did was put on a bikini, rap about sex, and shake her ass in the most amazing ways, because I don't even know how she does a lot of that shit. It's hard. You know what I'm saying? And it's a dance form that comes from Black America, okay? Because I also get tired of hearing lost Black Americans say shit like, oh, we don't have any culture. I've heard Black Americans say that. And I'm like, are you stupid? What the fuck do you mean we don't have any culture? Or we don't have traditions? I mean, I've heard like Africans and Caribbeans say that too, which is highly offensive and ignorant. But when I've heard Black Americans say that, I'm like, what are you talking about? First of all, there's so many different Black American cultures in different cities. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you travel to different regions and cities in the U.S., there's all kinds of different music and dances and foods and traditions. Like Juneteenth, that was a tradition from a certain part of Texas. All Black Americans weren't celebrating Juneteenth. Most Black Americans didn't know what it was 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And there's certain traditions that they had around that. Same thing with Mardi Gras. Like, that's a New Orleans thing. And I heard that they have it in like a couple other cities or whatever. But really, most people think of it as a New Orleans thing. It's not. People don't celebrate Mardi Gras in Baltimore. They're not celebrating Mardi Gras in Detroit. They're not celebrating Mardi Gras in Miami, you know, or in somewhere in Florida. That's a New Orleans thing. And there's certain traditions that have been happening for a long time around that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's totally not true. But and dances are a huge part. Dance, music, and food, and language, okay? Those are huge parts of what makes up somebody's culture. So the way that Megan Thee Stallion dances, and it's not easy, okay? People underestimate booty dances. They think because, okay, first of all, as a trainer and as a dancer, okay? I'm a trainer and I'm a dancer. I have a degree in exercise and sports science, okay? So as both of those things, I'm going to tell you right now, I look at the body as the whole body. It's a whole organism, right? But even if we talk about the muscles, first of all, our core, All the muscles that cross our hips are part of our core. That's the abs, okay, the obliques, the rectus abdominis, the transverse abdominis, which is deeper, the back muscles, the traps, and other lower back muscles, our glutes, our hamstrings, one of the quads, and the muscles of our pelvic floor. All those muscles cross our hips, that connects to the hips, right? So those are all core muscles. The muscles in our lower extremity are way more powerful. I mean, they're the biggest muscles in the body are in our lower extremities, okay? The largest muscles in our body are in our lower extremities. The glutes are the most powerful muscle in the body, okay? The most powerful muscle in the body, okay? So they are very important muscle, okay? You don't want them to be too weak, but you don't want them to be too loose and flaccid neither, okay? And it's not just about aesthetics, it's about performance. It's about your back. It's about being able to walk up some stairs. It's about being able to run. It's about being able to jump. You know what I'm saying? It's about being able to kick. It's about all those things that are important, right? And so, in a dancer, we move our body, okay? A dancer, our body is our canvas. It's everything from the head to the toes, okay? Shoulders to the fingertips, all of it, okay? So how all of a sudden is a whole, one of the biggest, most powerful muscles in the body, the glutes, there's oh no, that can't shake, that can't jiggle, that can't do anything, oh no. How does that make sense? Do you think something's wrong with your mind? If you see butt cheeks that are flopping, shaking, clapping, doing whatever, and you think something's wrong with that, could it be that something is wrong with your mind? Because if I'm shaking my fucking arm, is there a problem with that shit? You know what I'm saying? Some people are attracted to arms. Some people, me doing this might turn somebody on. I don't know. People get turned on by all types of shit, but I'm just saying. So how can you, being a trainer and being a dancer, studying kinesiology, I don't look at any part of the body as being like there's something dirty or wrong about it. You know what I'm saying? So this dance form, okay, that if you look at the black college marching bands down south, right? Another huge part of our culture, okay? And I really want to know, I've been wanting to know, where the dances that they do, that the girls do, I've been wondering, who started that? Where'd that come from? And I know some dance historians that I'm going to speak to. My dad has a friend, very brilliant woman, who I was a fan of hers before I knew that she was even friends with my dad. But she's a dance scholar. And I'm going to visit her soon and interview her. Maybe she can help me with this. Her name is Katrina Hazard. She wrote a book called Mojo Workin', which is about the Afro-American hoodoo system. It's a very, very good book. And then she wrote a book called, I think it's Jukin'. It's about Afro-American social dance, okay? I'm from Harlem. Lindy Hop comes from Harlem. A lot of people know it as swing, but black people call it Lindy Hop, okay? And so white people call it swing. So Lindy Hop swing comes from Harlem. Chicago, Chicago step came from Harlem Lindy Hop. Second line is from New Orleans. So anyhow, my whole point is that the bands down south, the way those women dance, I love it. If I had gone to an HBCU, I would have been one of those dancing girls. That whole style of dance, right? That's a certain style of Black American dance. But the way, and it has its sexuality in it too, right? Also a lot of shaking and gyrating, but it's different than how, the way that a black stripper might shake and gyrate, okay? Or a girl in Brazil, when they dance samba, they shake and gyrate hard in Brazil. But it's very different. They're all very different types of movements. So it's okay, it's okay if I'm doing the Brazilian shaking and gyrating, but it's not okay if I'm doing the Texas style? How does that make sense, right? So it's I feel with women, and it's not just black women, it's women, period. like, they're always using something sexual to tear a woman down. Like, the way that people think they could just trash Kim Kardashian, and say whatever about her all the time because she had a sex tape. And because she sells lingerie. Kanye be talking reckless about her, okay? Oh, she had sex with this person, she had sex with that person, and he's lying about, like, oh, she had sex with Meek Mill, she had sex with Chris Paul. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like, why is he even doing that? Who does that? You know what I'm saying? But people think that you could just keep slut shaming a woman just because, you know. And so I find that that's like the one thing that's always used. When you'll have dudes out here doing fucked up shit for real, okay? Because Kim's over here trying to get people out of prison, and Kanye's running around talking about Rosa Parks wasn't shit. I just feel like if he was a woman, he wouldn't get that same support. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't. So, you know, in my other video, part 1, if you didn't see part 1, you should watch part 1, when I said that I didn't have a desire to, like, fight, you know, for black men's issues like that. It wasn't, I'm not saying I don't care about black men at all. And I'm not saying I wouldn't fight for a black man in my life. You know what I'm saying? But something happening with black men, like a celebrity or a police brutality issue, I'm not going to the protests. Like, I'm not investing my energy. And because I just feel like, as a general statement, I see that most men just let, you know, most black men just let, they're not holding other black men accountable at all. And then they complain about what's wrong with the hood. You know, and they want to say, oh, Obama didn't change anything, the hood's still the same, and this person didn't change anything because the hood's still the same, and blah, 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 blah. Like, they think that somebody in office, and even throwing money at an issue, is always going to fix it. When a lot of times the mentality of the people and a lot of the black men who are not being fathers to their children, because that's always like the fucking common thread. Because where was Kanye's father? He's not dead, he's alive. But he didn't seem like he's very present in Kanye's life. And I think it's a lot of Kanye's issue. So a lot of these overly emotional dudes that can't handle life, that are bitching and moaning and acting about shit, they're shooting up shit, they got daddy issues. And I don't feel like that's for black women to try to fight that fight. That's for black men to do. It's for black men to hold other black men accountable. And in hip-hop, like I said, I love it. I love hip-hop. But how are you rapping about death and murder and guns, and in the video with guns, all that shit is cute until somebody you know gets shot? And then people say shit like, oh, but they want to blame it on the music industry execs. Oh, they make murder music because that's what the music industry, yeah, change starts with the individual, yeah. They'll say, oh, that's what the music industry wants them to put out. So, you don't gotta take the money. You don't gotta, just because somebody's offering you money to do some shit that you know is wrong, don't mean you gotta take it. You know it's gonna have a horrible effect on society. People don't shame them, but people shame strippers. When to me, strippers are saving lives, okay? Because, you know, yeah, there might be strippers who are downtrodden and don't want to do it or in a miserable situation. That may exist, but I haven't been to the strip club a whole lot, but I've been to the strip club. But most of the time, like, the people in the strip club look happy to me. The men look happy, especially if a chick is on him or whatever. Or some of the men be ignoring the shit. But I know a lot of the girls look happy. But I've seen men look happy. I've seen men with a girl shaking in his face and he looked like that shit just made his day. That maybe he was going to slap the shit out of somebody. Maybe he was going to be violent. But because these butt shakes are shaking in his face, he's calm now. And he's good. And he can go on another day. Okay? There's medicine in this shit. Okay? People talk about sexual healing. Marvin Gaye made the song Sexual Healing. That shit is real. Okay? Let's trust the wisdom of our ancestors. I feel like a lot of younger people now, they are critical of certain things. Like, you know, they think they know some new shit, right? But it's like, sexual healing is not just about actually having sex, okay? It's about being able to raise and build sexual energy, okay? Just arousing sexual energy within you, especially if you're a sane person, you know what to do with it, and you don't have like this frustration and fucking turn it into violence, okay? But just even that can like change somebody's mood. And I know that men, being the visual creatures that you guys are, okay, that they are, it's like just my observations with men. And I feel like there's a lot of men that like visuals do something really profound to them. Okay, actually, it's a fact. Again, read the book Sex at Dawn. That there are certain societies that as men age, I know one was like in the Pacific, where as men got older, they were surrounded with beautiful young women because they knew that it increased their testosterone and it helped them live a longer, healthier, happier life. Okay. My dad told me that when Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, was dying of cancer, he was in Ghana, and he was surrounded by like all these beautiful black women nurses, okay? He had all beautiful black women nurses taking care of him. You know, it's like if you know you're on your way out, what's gonna make me happy? And that's gonna do a lot for a lot of men. So like some, you know, so I'm just saying, like, the fact that people are more okay with murder and violence, okay? They're more okay with people. Like, I don't watch horror movies. I've never liked movies where people are getting stabbed up and shot up and blown up. I'm not into action movies where people are like going in a high speed chase through a city and jumping off of a moving train. All that shit. I've never been a fan of that because, first of all, it's too dramatic. Like, it's not realistic. Like, I watch reality shows. I watch Atlanta Housewives. I watch Love and Hip Hop. People say that's unrealistic and it's dramatic. No, it's way more realistic. A lot of people have businesses, they have families. There's a lot of things, a lot of issues that people get into with their mother, with their father, with their children, with their spouse, with their friends, that get real shit and business. You know what I'm saying? There's a little bit of drama in there, but it doesn't compare to the type of drama in an action movie. I watch action movies, I'm like, this shit is way too dramatic for me, and it's not realistic. You going through a fucking high-speed chase through a city, you would have done killed a bunch of people. That shit's not cool. You're jumping off some moving shit that just blew up. In real life, your ass would have been dead. Like, your shit's just overly dramatic, destructive, and not realistic. Then, when I look at, and I'm totally not into, like, the gangster stories and all that. Then, you have horror movies, right? Where, people are getting stabbed up and all this gruesome shit. I'm like, I do not understand how somebody gets entertainment out of watching, like, somebody get mutilated and somebody get stabbed up. Because in real life, that shit happens. In real life, there are people who their family members have been stabbed to death. In real life, there are people whose children have been dismembered, okay, or their mother or something. So how is it entertaining to sit and watch that? I don't understand that, right? But that's okay. But God forbid, okay, God is forbid, that a woman be naked, that a woman be half naked, that a woman shake her ass, that a woman just open her motherfucking legs, okay? That, oh my God, it's a problem, and she's the worst person on earth. And, you know, and everybody's so upset. When we all come from sex, okay, we are all here because our parents had sex, okay? But the only purpose, reproduction is not the only purpose for sex, okay? Sex is extremely pleasurable, enjoyable, it's good for our health. Orgasms, okay? I'm gonna say life is too short. Life is too short to be caught up on all that dumb shit about sex. And then you get old and your body don't work no more and you would wish you had more sex, okay? Like, it's stupid. It's just stupid. So, people are mad at strippers and looking at, oh, a girl has an OnlyFans page, or when dudes got OnlyFans pages too. And also, OnlyFans doesn't just mean that people think OnlyFans is like, oh, they're having sex as porn. No, OnlyFans could be anything. People could be doing cooking videos on OnlyFans. You know what I'm saying? You could be doing sewing classes on OnlyFans. You could do whatever the fuck you want. But even if it is your body, right? Like, if somebody wants to look at your body, like, if there are people who want to look at the shit. There's tons of people looking at it. There's tons of people looking at porn, okay? But then people are mad at the porn stars. Like, people should be thanking the porn stars, okay? Because once you get into that porn star realm, it's like you're shunned by society. You could never be a politician. Or maybe you could if you were like some of these men like Donald Trump who just seem like whatever they do, whatever. But, you know, you can't do a lot of things because people put you, oh, you're a porn star. And, oh, that's so filthy. That's so, But how many people watch porn? Like, and people that have a problem with porn, I don't understand that either. Like, some people be like, trying to act like porn is a problem, you know, like, in society, and it's ruining men's sex drives and they're warping their mind and sex and porn. What the fuck ever, okay? Whatever. Because if you look at ancient art, okay, if you look at the caves, okay, in a lot of parts of the world, including the Americas, including North America, Turtle Island, okay, there's a lot of ancient depictions of orgies, okay? There's ancient depictions of lewd sexual scenes of all sorts that were associated with hunting, that were associated with seasons, that were associated with the crops, okay, blooming and shit, that were associated with spiritual things. If you look at the ancient art, a lot of the pre-colonial art in different parts of the world, whether it be the Americas and Africa especially, where you have genitals being emphasized, you have nipples being emphasized, there's sexual positions, okay, that they're in, all types of stuff. So people talk about things being written in stone, right? So if they wrote that in stone, if they made stone figurines and they carved into stone walls and shit, do you think that maybe you should pay attention to it? So, or you go and you see, and the other thing I find it funny, like people can see like statues in front of, like, you know, you're in a city or whatever, a museum or just a city, and there's a statue of a nude woman or a nude man, and it's art, okay? Or somebody paints a nude person and it's art. But when it's a real person, oh my God, they're doing too much. You know what I'm saying? And I noticed that as being a muse for photographers, like, I never liked taking pictures, okay? I like to dance. I'm a dancer. Taking pictures was like fucking boring, okay? I'm hyperactive. Like, you have to stay still, and they're fixing the lights and the angle. Like, I hated it. But I noticed that when I would put pictures places, like, people would be like, oh, you love being naked. Oh, they had all these ideas about me. And it's like, listen, first of all, the photographer is also an artist, right? Now, every shoot I do is because the photographer saw me and wanted to shoot me. I wasn't seeking it out. I was never a model, okay? They saw me, wanted to collaborate. And a lot of, when until recently, okay, a lot of the years when I was doing photo shoots, I just showed up, and whatever vision the photographer had, oh, get naked up in that tree or whatever, I did that, you know what I'm saying, and did whatever. And it's the angle and the things that they were seeing, that they were capturing. Now I learned a lot about myself, because we can't see ourselves. We can't step outside of our body and see ourselves. We see ourselves, you know, we can see ourselves in the mirror and in the video, but it's like when you have something removed from you and somebody capturing you, and there's things that you can see about yourself that you couldn't see otherwise, right? So it's like, but people would like want to shame a woman who's in the photos, right? But then yet, if somebody paints the same thing, then it's art, and people will pay all this money and put it on the wall, right? So it's very hypocritical. But the whole thing, going back to, you know, porn stars, it's like, I would not want to live in a world with no porn, okay? Like, I always watch porn, I will always watch it, right? And if the porn stars, the people, it's not even always porn stars, whatever people, whoever it is, I don't know, whoever's having sex on video, that you see what it is that you like, okay? It's like, that's important. There's nothing shameful about that, okay? There's nothing shameful about that. And when people, like, you know, be trying to shame people and you know, oh, that's wrong. Like, all these, like, puritanical, uptight fucking ideas about sex, sexuality, and the body. Okay? And so, all of that also, you know, it gets projected on to the dancing bodies of black women. Okay? Now, black strippers, all right? Let me tell you something, all right? The shit that they do is motherfucking amazing, all right? I'm talking about the ones who really be like doing stuff on the pole and twerking in a handstand, okay? Like, to me, that they're just as amazing as the people in the Bronx who started spinning on their heads, you know what I'm saying, on concrete, who started breaking and doing all that crazy shit. The dudes right now in New York who are flipping off the train walls and using the poles and doing that. All that shit is amazing. Nobody took any classes. Nobody took handstand 101. Nobody took headstand 101. Nobody took nothing. And that shit is amazing, right? So same thing with black strippers. Like, the way, see, if you're not a dancer, it's hard to understand. And maybe if you look at it enough, you'll kind of understand. But if you're not trying to embody it, if you're not actually trying to do it, it's not easy to completely understand. And maybe one day too, I'll do videos where I can put other videos so I can point to it. But if you look at how black strippers, the way that they move their ass and thighs is not like how girls in the Caribbean move, for example, or not like how girls in Brazil or Cuba move. It's a certain type of it's difficult. The way that the booty jiggles, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a certain type of relaxation. But the control is something that's very difficult to do. That's all I'm going to say, right? And there's never been any classes for that. Then a lot of them, it's difficult to be flexible. A lot of them, it's difficult to do a handstand, and it's difficult to twerk. All those things are hard, right? But you have a black stripper who will be in a headstand and twerking at the same time, and then just land down into a split and turn into a contortionist, okay? And they never had any classes or any lessons or any nothing, okay? Then they're going on the pole and doing crazy, like, death-defying tricks. And black people, I feel like black men act so unimpressed most of the time. You'll have black female strippers, like, doing the most crazy shit, and the dudes are like, whatever. Like, they're not even really that impressed. If you do that, white people will probably pay them tons of money for that. But anyhow, going back is that they will, you know, get up on the pole and very dangerous, like, pole is very scary, okay? I pole dance. I've never been a stripper. I cannot do what they do. I learned how to pole dance from taking classes with instructors who explained. I'm now an instructor, and I know how to teach so that you don't get injured and how to spot you on dangerous things. But let me tell you, a lot of stuff in pole is extremely scary. It's extremely painful, too. A lot of people don't realize that it's painful, but a lot of it hurts, and a lot of it is very scary. And so if you're climbing all the way up on this high-ass pole, and now you're hanging from it in some crazy way that if you slip, you know, which is one of the reasons why I don't get in the pole too much anymore, because I like to moisturize and I'm a slip. And I don't know what black strippers do that they're not ashy, but they don't slip. I don't know. But like, if you slip, you'll hurt yourself. And then they'll be in these positions that are hard to hold, and then they start bopping their head. And when you start bopping your head, no, I've never seen anybody in the pole community do this, okay? But when you start bopping your head, that shit can make you fall so easy. It is so much harder to hold that grip. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just like, this deserves all the applause, all the props. Like, it's under-acknowledged because it's sexual, right? Like, people could give acknowledgement to the breakers, but they ignore that because it's a strip club. And it's like, no, this is a whole art form right here, okay? That's very difficult to execute. Extremely. All right, and as an athlete, as a dancer, as a sports scientist, I'm highly impressed. Okay, highly impressed. So what's better, death or life, right? Because sexual energy is creative energy. Sexual energy is healing energy. Okay, and sex makes people feel good. It makes them happy, right? So, like, if you don't have sex and you know, you're not having good sex, you're going to be mad, you're going to be mean, okay? That's whether you're a man or a woman, which is why I feel like gay dudes be so happy all the time, because they have more sex than anybody else. Because you know why? Because they're two men, and men are easy. So you have man and man. Like the only reason why straight men don't have as much sex is because they're dealing with women, and women are more complicated. Okay, so it's funny when people talk about easy women. Maybe some men should be thankful for that, because a lot of women are pretty difficult, and you don't have sex as much, right? And then you complain too that your girl or whoever's not giving you enough sex. So that's why, you know, you got two men, they just fucking, right? So I'm just saying. But when people, male or female, you know, and that's why I feel like lesbians, no offense, I'm just saying, okay? That's why I feel like lesbians are so mad and mean all the time. And I'm not saying, and some of them are really dried out. Now, I'm not talking about all of them. I'm not talking about all of them, okay? But there's a huge percentage of lesbians that are mean and abusive, okay? Like, if you want to, I feel like a lesbian club, there's more fights in them clubs than anything else, all right? Like gay men, you go into a gay men's club, which is not my thing. I've been in them. But they're too, like, YMCA-ish, you know. I'm not into the drag shows. I'm just not into the gay shit. And I'm not homophobic because I am half gay myself. I'm a bisexual woman, right? But people don't talk about bisexuality enough. It's always about gay shit and trans shit, right? I'm not in none of those boxes, right? So I'm just going to say, I'm not homophobic. Let gay people do what they do, but I'm not into the gay shit, which is why I don't like house music, okay? I despise house music. It is so gay to me, all right? That's all it reminds me of is gay dudes. That's not what resonates with me. I like shit that speaks to my hips deep, okay? That's what I like. That's what resonates with me. And it's not house, okay? The gay shit don't do it. Now, but they are very happy, all right? But then you go to the lesbian clubs and everybody's mad. The lesbian clubs have better music, okay? They have better music. And I haven't gone to one really since I was in my early 20s, but they have better music, but girls are always getting into fights because you have the dykey ones. They're always mad about some shit. And I learned very early, you know, that I can't deal with lesbians. Like I'm very much attracted to women, but they gotta be bisexual. Like, because I love men, and they have to understand that, because lesbians a lot of times are anti-men. They hate men. They like men destroyed the world or something. Not all of them, but a lot of them are like that. Lesbian spaces can be like that. And they don't understand that you need men. Like, I still need a penis. Like, okay? So, yeah, like, I'm not a lesbian, right? But I do think that lesbians have the least amount of sex out of anybody else. And so a lot of them look really dried up, especially when you see two dykes. Like the mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, and her wife. If you've never seen the mayor of Chicago, you have to look her up, because I can't believe she's the mayor of a huge city, okay? A boss city like Chicago. Like, she would never be the mayor of New York looking like that. But just look her up, right? And then, if you know who she is and you haven't seen her wife, look that up. There's nobody could convince me that two of them are having sex, okay? Nobody could convince me of that. And they look extremely dried up. Okay. So my point is, a lot of good sex is good for your health. It makes you glow. It makes you happy. You know what I'm saying? So, but everybody is too busy being so judgmental and wanting to hold people hostage. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm in a relationship with a dude and I know that people's sex drives don't always match. Sometimes people are going through things too, right? And they just don't want to be bothered. You know what I'm saying? They might be going through something. That doesn't mean that the other person, or you're away for a long time. I don't know. Like, there's just different things. But the other person still has needs. And if that other person's needs are not being met, right? And now you want to hold them hostage. Like, life is too short for that. Life is too short for that. Okay? Now people got bad attitudes. You know what I'm saying? It just makes everything worse. So it's like, sometimes for me, it's really hard living in this world, because I'm just like, people just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so much influence from these religions. Okay? And I'm not just saying that to say that. If you really, I could talk about this for the next 10 hours, but if you really want a good book list, okay, I can give you a good book list of books to start with, so you know why I'm saying this. I'm not just saying this to be controversial or to be fucked up or to be ignorant, but it's the motherfucking truth, okay? It's the truth. And for people to be, there's a connection between sex and death anyway, right? I just like to stay on the sex part, okay? The death part, I will deal with that when I have to deal with it. But I'm not going to promote death, or I'm not fascinated with it. I don't like murder. You know what I'm saying? That shit bothers me. So like, if it makes me mad, you know what I'm saying? When I hear about people being murdered who didn't deserve to be murdered. It's one thing if somebody's murdered and they were like trying to kill you or something. They were trying to harm your kids. Or they raped your children. That's different, right? But most people who get murdered where it's just like some dumb shit, somebody was jealous about something, somebody's upset that their girlfriend was having sex with this dude, or their dude, whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? That shit pisses me off so bad. So I can't be entertained by that type of thing, right? And I feel like the fact that people are okay with those kind of movies, those kind of shows, that kind of music, but you're not okay with sexual shit. That will never make sense to me, right? And when people have a lack of sex and good sex, it makes them more violent, okay? It makes them more short-tempered. Then these are facts. You know what I'm saying? So anytime somebody tries to shame somebody, like even in a situation, it could be men or women. Men get shamed too. There are men who might have multiple women and people act like, oh, he's dirty, he's disgusting, oh, da, da, da. And people just want to jump to that, like, and they definitely can't handle it if it's a woman. Like, people can have a hard time with a man when it's a woman. Oof. Mm-mm. But there are societies where, in the past and the present, where women have had multiple husbands. You know what I'm saying? That has existed. A lot of people don't read enough and study enough to know that, but it has existed right here in the Americas. Okay? In Asia, in like different parts of the world. So it's like just the fact that people are so obsessed with controlling a woman's body and controlling her sexuality and her expression of it, and just sex and people, because it also affects men too, because men also get shamed, you know. But just in the general realm of like the public perception of people, with artists and stuff like that, the fact that in hip hop, women who are, you know, twerking and talking about sex is such a problem. Like Snoop has such a problem with WAP. And I actually remember my dad said to me he felt like that was hypocritical because Snoop was the one that was promoting all that Girls Gone Wild stuff back in the day. And I forgot all about that, where he was had those Girls Gone Wild DVDs. So you made a whole bunch of Girls Gone Wild DVDs, but then you're mad at Cardi and Megan making a song called WAP. So stupid. What happens if a person has plenty of sex but they're still violent? So, okay, so I'm not going to say that just because somebody has a lot of sex that they're like a good person, that they won't be violent. But there are people who have a lot of sex where the sex for them is not about being good sex, right? It's not about being pleasurable. For them, it could be about dominating somebody, or they have like some other kind of perversion or imbalance. You know, there's people who are having sex from a perverted place. There are people who are having sex from an unhealthy place. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have, for example, you have girls who might, you know, I don't like the term promiscuous, but people will use that term. Let's say she's, you know, doing whatever she's doing, right? And she could be like, oh, I'm like this because I was molested, right? And that exists. But there are other girls who do what they do and what they want to do, and they doing the same shit, but they weren't molested. They were doing it because it feels good to them, and they just like the shit, and that's purely the reason why they're doing it, right? So, and then there are people who are having sex. It's like it's not even. Sometimes for some people, sex is like transactional. You know what I'm saying? Like you could have a lot of women seem like that, which I really don't understand. Where it's like I'm not gonna have sex with you just because like you have money. Like okay, so you have a lot of money. Okay, if I don't like having, to me, how much money somebody has doesn't play a factor of whether or not I'm gonna have sex with you. It's about, do I like you and your energy as a person, and are we sexually compatible? You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that you're not sexually compatible with, and I don't want to have sex with you. Like, I'm not turned on by you. I don't want you touching me. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but there are a lot of women who think like, okay, he spent this much money, or he has money, so I'm going to have sex. So it's like a transactional thing. It's not even about their pleasure. And it may not even feel good. They may not even be having orgasms. There's a lot of women who are like in their 40s and have a few children and never had an orgasm. So it's like, do you actually enjoy sex? You know what I'm saying? So there are people who have a lot of sex who are coming from like a broken place, or trying to fill a void, or there's some type of like imbalance, and so it's not like they're engaging in pleasurable sex that they want to engage in because it makes them feel good. There's a difference, right? I don't think that people and okay, nothing is a one size fits all. There's multiple factors to things. You know what I'm saying? The multiple factors. But I feel like a violent person, and when I say a violent person, I mean somebody who's violent for no reason. I'm not talking about somebody who's violent in self-defense, but somebody who's just like a violent person, right? A lot of times people like that have other issues. And so I can assume that even them having a lot of sex, it's not even really because it's like, oh, this feels good. There's something else going on with them. You know what I'm saying? That they, and I've learned recently that there are men who do have this kind of mentality of like wanting to conquer a woman, or even have sex with women they don't like, which doesn't make sense to me. But I heard some men explaining how some men think like this, where they may want to have sex with a woman they don't like because they feel like it's exerting dominance over her. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of men talk about that too with women with sex, like it's exerting dominance over them. If a woman has sex with you because she wanted to have sex with you, then she was doing it for her pleasure too. You know what I'm saying? So what if she felt like she dominated you? You know what I'm saying? Like, but nobody should be thinking about sex like that. Me, I've never thought about sex of me dominating somebody. You know what I'm saying? Even if that was the reaction of the person. Even if the person was like they like lost their mind because it was like, oh my God, like I still don't think to myself, oh, I dominated that person. Like I don't have that mindset. Maybe because I have a healthy sexuality, you know, I understand healthy sexuality. I'm not coming from a place of being molested or abused. I'm not coming from a place of like all this crazy religious stuff, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I know I've been talking for a long time. This video is about to end again. So thank you for listening to my rant, my thoughts, my critical thinking, as I smoked on my strain Sour Tangy. I love that strain. It gets me all focused and gets my mind. Now I'm about to eat and go to the gym and get some work done. So I hope you guys are well. If you didn't see part 1 of this video, go back and watch part 1. And you could check out other videos I've done on these topics. And thank you for the compliment on my hair. And thank you guys. I hope you guys have a good day, and I will talk to you soon. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there one last thing I need to say in the last minute? I don't think so. But just think critically about this, okay? Okay, when it comes to sex, sexuality, sexual things, it's acceptance over violence, how it's always used to weaponize women, okay? And where is this coming from? Were we always like this? What does the ancient art tell you? When you look at pre-colonial art, what do you see? Okay? Do you see nudity? Do you see sexuality? Do you see any of that? Okay? And if you're black or Afro-Indigenous, have you taken a good look at our dances? Have you thought to yourself, why is it okay if the girl in Trinidad winds up, but not when the girl in Atlanta does it? All right, so I will talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.